Post-traumatic stress disorder. Megan's story. Going through post-traumatic stress disorder is like living in your own nightmare. A traumatic event to trigger this may be the death of a loved one, rape or assault, a natural disaster, losing your home, extreme bullying, or the effects of war. It may also be a result of a serious accident. It can be extremely traumatic for people who see the trauma happening to someone they care about. This too can trigger post-traumatic stress disorder. People who have experienced traumatic events are likely to have experienced very powerful feelings ranging from fear, anxiety, extreme sadness, and hopelessness. Megan has felt all of these, but for her the overwhelming feeling is anger. They may be in a constant state of alert. A counsellor, Megan, recalls, "I remember a child I worked with years ago who had post-traumatic stress disorder. He had seen his parents shot in a war in another country. This child was only 15 years old and suffered nightmares, depression, struggled to maintain friendships, and was often in a high state of anxiety or anger. But mostly he was extremely withdrawn. He used to paint and draw for me and seemed to live a lot of his feelings through his artwork." If you already have a mental illness and go through a traumatic event, the risk is high that your symptoms may worsen or that you will be at risk of relapse. It also means that people who love and support you will also be subjected to trauma themselves. If you're in this situation, keep an open dialogue with your treating health professionals at these times and keep them very aware of any changes you feel within yourself. Utilise any skills you've learnt during behaviour therapy sessions if you've had them. Behaviour therapy sessions can be organised through your GP. They can refer you to a psychologist, which can be covered through Medicare in Australia if your GP fills out a mental health care plan for you. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Belinda's story. Most traumatic events happen unexpectedly and therefore come as a shock. A person may be shocked that someone could be so intentionally cruel, neglectful, or uncaring, as is the situation all too frequently in childhood when a parent deserts a family or a trusted family member or friend abuses a child. Many people have felt powerless to prevent the situation that did so much hurt to them. Sometimes the same type of event can happen repeatedly, usually abuse or bullying. There are those who grow up with the scars of trauma, which for many reasons have never been properly dealt with. If someone has deep-rooted trauma from the past that has not been addressed, it can adversely affect current relationships and day-to-day functioning. Sadly, this happened to Belinda, who was abused by a grade 4 and 5 teacher in primary school. She did not tell her parents what had happened for 2 years. She has post-traumatic stress disorder, and the recovery is incredibly difficult for her and is hurting the entire family. Not only does she live with these flashbacks, but they are so bad that she had not been able until recently to attend school. She's tried to commit suicide 7 times. These flashbacks are now making normal relationships problematic for her, and at this stage the memory of that man's violation pervades her every waking hour. Belinda began to suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder when she entered the classroom for a subject that the teacher who abused her taught, maths, science and sport. She would begin to have flashbacks of the situations where he abused her. She could hear his voice and his words in her head. She would begin to shake and perspire. She felt a rising panic, which blocked her ability to think clearly. Belinda would have to exit the classroom. On many occasions her teachers could not calm her down and she would end up having an emergency appointment with her doctor or attending casualty. Belinda is now attending a school for students suffering severe mental health problems and who are committed to moving forward. Her progress is slow, but she is managing to stay at school and is beginning to achieve some lasting results. This has been through medication, therapy, cognitive behaviour and occupational and several quality assistance programs included in this package.